Lightning's back.
Hey guys, it's Remar for the series premiere of the highly anticipated new CW show, Black Lightning. This is Season 1, Episode 1, The Resurrection. And what Black Lightning is essentially about is we center on the character of Jefferson Pierce, and he used to be Black Lightning back in his day, but he has since taken a back seat. He now is much more involved in his daughter's lives. Quite literally, he is also the principal at their school, and through some unexplained events that I will get into very shortly, he is pulled back in. So Black Lightning in general, I'm going to be honest with you, I really did not know how the show was going to go, and it's mainly because of the fact that, sure, I enjoy these CW shows, but they don't always have the greatest start, that is for sure. I mean, Legends of Tomorrow is probably the strongest of the CW shows right now, but it had a really rocky start. I mean, you guys remember Season 1, that was, honestly, it was a mess. It really was. It was a complete mess. I really didn't have... It had a direction, but it just didn't really know what it wanted to be, I think, till the second season. Second season is one of the biggest turnarounds of any show I've seen. So yeah, or it could have been like a Flash, where they actually do have a fantastic first season. So good that it outweighs every other season. And after watching this, I have to say, I think not only this has potential to be better than The Flash Season 1, but I think it has potential to be maybe the best of the CW shows. I genuinely think that, because this was a fantastic premiere, and there were a lot of things that I think really do help this first episode, and we'll get into that right off the bat, but let's just get into this episode. We start off at a police station in the city of Freeland. We see Jennifer Pierce and Jefferson Pierce and his daughter Anissa are waiting. They're watching a newscast about another of the 100 gang shootings, and the father, whose son is dead, insists that the 100 controls the streets, not the police, and protesters took to the street, but the 100 opened fire on them. Inspector Bill Henderson tells the press that the police won't tolerate violence, and the newscaster notes that many residents have actually lost faith in Henderson, who came up through the ranks fighting the vigilante Black Lightning, who mysteriously disappeared 9 years ago. Of course, Black Lightning is Jefferson Pierce. So a police officer watching turns off the TV, says she wishes the press would give the police credit because they actually have done a lot, and Jefferson's other daughter Jennifer comes in and tells Jefferson that they're ready. So as they go, Jefferson complains that Anissa went to the protest and got arrested. She insists that it was a peaceful protest, but Jefferson warns that returning violence with violence just simply leads to darkness. And yeah, that's definitely a good way to look at it. I mean, he would know, he's been a vigilante. He knows where this could lead her, and he's very worried that Anissa is setting herself down a dark path. So the police then pull him over, tell Jefferson to step out of the car. He complains that it's the third time this month that they've done this to him, and one officer shoves him on the hood, the other officer draws his gun, and they clearly do not give any fucks whatsoever. I mean, they're just mercilessly, like I said, pulling him over, and Anissa then takes footage, but Jefferson tells her to put her hands on the dashboard like the officers say, and I like that he, understands the idea of compliance. He knows that he kind of has to comply, that's kind of how this works. If you comply, then the officers won't really do anything. The officers, say they take him over to the car, ask the woman inside if Jefferson is the guy. She nods in the negative, and the officer leads Jefferson and wishes him a good night. So you get the sense, again, this is, a common occurrence, and when Jefferson demands answers, the officer says that her liquor store just got robbed. Jefferson insists that he's no robber, but the officer then ignores him. His eyes flare blue, the nearby lights flicker out for a moment, and after a moment, he gets control of himself, and the lights then go steady. So, and I thought this was a fantastic way to start things off. You can tell he definitely does have this, whatever is in him, it's definitely still in him. He just really has kept it hidden, and I really like seeing that here. So I thought, like I said, this was a fantastic start. So later, Jefferson, his two daughters, and his date, Kara Foudy, attend a fundraiser, and Senator Nina Martin says that Jefferson, who is a former Olympic gold winner, came back to his old neighborhood, and now Garfield is an oasis of hope. So Anissa teaches at the school as a health educator, we find out, and Jennifer is a standout scholar athlete. So these two kids clearly, they've made really good lives for themselves, and they're definitely, on a good path. But we then see Jennifer, she's in the bathroom preparing for a party with her friend Keisha, and this is the only part of the episode I wasn't really a fan of. As much as, I'll get to China McClain a little bit, because I actually do think she did some good work here. The character of Jennifer, I'm just not really latching onto, and especially in these scenes, we see Anissa comes in, complains that Jennifer's blowing off the party. Jennifer says she and Keisha are going to Collie's house party. She promises to be home before Jefferson gets home, and Anissa finally agrees, but tells her to be home before their parents get home. I like that Anissa is like the parental figure here. I definitely did like seeing that. So Jefferson takes the stage as students all recite that they will live their lives by any means necessary. So Jennifer and Keisha go to Club 100 instead, and Jennifer spots a teenager, Will, who's watching from the balcony, and Jennifer gets together with him, tells him that he's not going to have sex with her. And this whole scene, like I said, this didn't feel like a CW show. This was the stuff in the episode that I think actually did. Any scene in Club 100 felt like something out of a regular CW show, and it did kind of take me out of the show, the feel of the show a little bit. So Bill then approaches Jefferson, tells him not to let all the praise go to his head. Jefferson thanks him for pulling strings to get Anissa released, and Bill warns him that the police will get violent, and he says the guys who pulled Jefferson over, they're not his, and he'll check into it. So he leaves to make a call. These are definitely clearly corrupt cops, and they're definitely on the wrong side of things. So Kara comes over, tells Jefferson that he needs to talk to a woman about donations, and Jefferson sees his estranged wife, Lynn, and he goes over to greet her, and she's heard that Anissa was arrested, warns that it's not a good look, and warns him that Anissa is not a child anymore, and that because of that, very serious things could happen to her because of that. And Lynn says that Anissa is a lot like Jefferson, always fighting for change, and Jefferson gazes at her. Lynn tells him not to do it, reminds him that Kara is waiting for him. She says he looks good in the suit, and then walks away. So after the fundraiser, he returns home, discovers that Jennifer isn't home. He calls Anissa, who admits that she went to a party. Jefferson then texts Jennifer and goes to find her, and Jennifer's half-jokingly arguing with Will. Two gangsters come over and sit down. They tell Jennifer to stay, and Lala agrees, and Jefferson's on the balcony, spots the gangsters dragging Jennifer to the back room. This is when things really get serious. A gang lord, Lala, is waiting, wonders why Will has been ducking him down. Will insists he's just trying to make the money he says he owes him, and we realize Will's obviously very heavily involved with Club 100, and Jennifer tries to go. Lala tells him to stand there and be cute. He reminds Will that he had the best attorney in Freeland when he got arrested, and punches Will. Lala then tells Will that Jennifer should start working at the Seahorse Motel to pay off some of Will's debt. So Will hastily agrees, but Jennifer says she's nobody's bitch, knees him in the groin. Jefferson then goes to the door. The guard stops him, going for his gun. Concentrating, he says that he tried to do it the right way. The lights go out, and as the club goers panic, Jennifer runs out. Lala and his men fire at her. Jefferson takes him out with a combination of punches and lightning bolts. The lights come out. Jennifer sees the bodies. This scene was incredible. She runs out. Jefferson goes into the street. The police pull up. They order him to put his hands up. He does so. They order him on the ground. Jefferson doesn't, and they shoot tasers at him. So he absorbs the electricity, fires it back through the wires, stunning the two guards. He then blows up their car and walks off, and that scene was so badass. I love the way it was done. And again, I love that this wasn't just him trying to protect his city. He was trying to protect his daughters. He's obviously done a very good job with that, and this is the first time where he's truly felt like they are at risk, and I really did like the way the show got us into that. So Taylor Peter Gamby arrives at his shop. He finds a wounded Jefferson unconscious on the floor, and Anissa tells Jennifer that she got lucky that she didn't end up drugged in a motel room. So she reminds her sister that the 100 go there, and Jennifer insists that she's not Jefferson, that she has nothing to worry about. She's not going to end up in the way Jefferson did, and she's not the queen of Garfield. Her sister then yanks her phone away, turns on the TV, and again, I get that Jennifer's trying to be rebellious or whatever, but it's common sense, honestly. I mean, Jefferson. If something bad happened to Jefferson, it's destined to happen to her. I mean, it is in the family. That family is not very well liked there. So it just, again, wasn't really a smart move on her part. Henderson's on the news saying that 2 policemen were attacked. The reporter says that Black Lightning was involved, and Henderson insists that it's simply fake news and that it's not something to worry about, that Black Lightning has nothing to do with it. So Jefferson and Peter are watching the news. Jefferson admits it's been 9 years since he used his powers. So again, this is the first time in 9 years that he's done that. And Peter points out that Freeland needs Black Lightning, and as if Jefferson remembers why he became Black Lightning. So the tailor says that he wanted to actually give the people hope against evil, and now evil is, of course, running rampant. So Jefferson insists he became Black Lightning to take on Tobias Whale, then every crook, until he realized that there is no bottom. He figures that he and Lynn might reconcile. He has a shot at putting his family back together, and he's not going to let Black Lightning jeopardize that. So Peter tells him that Jefferson's like his son. They both knew that Jefferson's promise to retire had an expiration date. This was not going to last forever. So we then get a flashback where Lynn finds a wounded Jefferson in the tub, says she can't stay there with the girls watching him kill himself, and Jefferson then promises that he will retire. So we see basically this was Lynn who encouraged him to do, which I thought was honestly really well done. You know, you would have thought that Jefferson did this on his own, but no, this was basically through the encouragement of Lynn. She obviously didn't want to see him put himself in harm's way, and, you know, he told her, okay, fine, I'll retire. You know, you need me to, I'll do it. And again, that's very different from what we usually get on these shows. I mean, talk about The Flash, for example. We have The Flash who doesn't want to reveal that he's The Flash, but yet he's, you know, no one's in the show is coming out of court, and, you know, fighting all of these criminals, you know, as the Flash. I mean, that's not happening on the show, and that's something I really did enjoy. So, the next morning, Lynn is watching a commentator talking about black vigilantes. Jefferson comes home. Lynn tells him that Jennifer was at Club 100, and she came over to calm her down. So, he claims the board had him hemmed down. Lynn tells him that she's a teenager, and now she knows what can happen. So, Jefferson agrees. Lynn tells him that she played bad parent. She insists she's not playing when it comes to keeping their daughters alive, and asks if Black Lightning is back, and obviously she doesn't want that. So Jefferson tells her that she knows better, that he saved more lives as a principal than he ever did as Black Lightning, and Lynn says she doesn't want to see him wounded again and admits that she cares about him. She unbuttons the shirt. Jefferson tells her that she's not going to find a costume underneath. He's just a man who wants his woman back, and I like seeing this. I like seeing that he wants to take his family back. He's not someone who, you know, they have this strange marriage right now, but again, it's because of what he did as Black Lightning. It's because of the fact that he spent all this time as Black Lightning and obviously put their marriage, you know, in a bit of a standstill, and they don't really have a great connection right now, and I'm looking forward to seeing if they actually can maybe get that spark back, you know, throughout the season. So we then get to another flash where we see Anissa sees Jefferson bleeding. Lynn says that he might as well be a crackhead, and she tells him that she wants a divorce, and we don't really know why or how this happened or when this really went down, but I did think this was an effective scene overall. So inside, Jefferson checks his wounds where Peter stitched up his wound, and Tobias Will then drowns Will in his supersized aquarium. That scene, by the way, was horrifying, honestly. I mean, we're so used to getting these very cartoony villains that to see someone that real and to see someone in that kind of situation was honestly really terrifying. And his henchwoman Cyanide calls him over to the TV, where Roland Martin is speculating that Black Lightning is in fact returning, and Roland says that people are praying for the vigilante come back to the city, but so far these are simply just rumors. So the next morning, Jefferson jogs with his daughters, then goes over to Garfield. He complains to Kara that the board wants to put metal detectors in the school, refusing to treat his students like criminals. He's just not going to do it, and Jefferson refused to turn his school into another jail, because remember, Garfield is kind of a safe haven right now. It's been known as a place for everyone to just relax, and he's created this, you know, really great community. He doesn't want to treat them that way, and Kara agrees to relay the message to the board. When Jefferson checks his emails, he finds a message from Peter saying the Black Lightning did a lot of good. There's also a video of a store owner talking about how Black Lightning saved him from 2 robbers. The store owner says that he wouldn't have lived to see his grandchildren if it wasn't for Black Lightning. So again, we can see that Jefferson definitely has done a lot. Will then goes to Garfield to find Jennifer, as if they're cool. She says that he's stalking her, and he grabs her, and Anissa then runs over, tells him to leave, or she's calling the police. And when Will grabs her arm, she flips him just as Jefferson comes out. He goes for the gun. Jefferson stops him as if he's going to shoot 2 women in front of the witnesses. And again, Will's very creepy in this scene, especially since we know his involvement with Club 100. Will says that Jefferson doesn't know he's messing with. Jefferson admits that he doesn't, but says the police don't either, and will shoot Will for fun. So the teenager says it's not over and then walks away. So you can tell he definitely does mean business here. And back in his office, Jennifer tells his daughters they put the whole school in danger. He tells Anissa that she should have left school security handle it. And Anissa says that it's about the community. You know, she's not just focused on Garfield. She's much more big picture than that. And Jefferson tells them that it's about him keeping his daughters alive. Anissa asks when he abandoned his people. The bell rings. Anissa and Jennifer then walk out. And in the cafeteria, Jennifer notices a student drops drugs from his backpack. Lala then comes in. Jefferson greets him by his real name, Latavius, and Lala, who's a former student, says that he heard what happened to Will. Jefferson says that he's had an unofficial arrangement with the gangs to keep violence out of Garfield, and says that he needs Lala to keep Will away from his girls and Garfield. So Lala says that Will has been lost since he got out of prison. He tells a young student, Malik, to shake Jefferson's hand and introduce himself. The gang lord says that he heard that Malik isn't giving school his best. He grabs him by the arm as he tells him to focus on reality. Jefferson objects, but Lala ignores him, and when Jefferson grabs Lala, Lala draws a gun. He aims it right at him. He tells Jefferson to never put his hands on him again, says that he'll teach him his way. Jefferson can teach them his way. Lala then takes Malik's phone, has him sweep the floor, then tells Jefferson that he'll do him the favor, but he does owe him. So Jefferson says that they're good. Lala walks away smiling, and it seems like everything's fine here. So later, Will and 2 of his gangers then walk into the school. They bust into Anissa's classroom, shove her aside. Will draws a gun on Jennifer, drags her and Anissa away, and when Jefferson receives word of the incident, he calls in Henderson and Lynn. Henderson wants to confirm that the girls were taken to Seahorse Motel. Jefferson wants to go in on his way, and Henderson complains that Jefferson didn't tell him what was going on. He asks Jefferson to let him do his job. Jefferson agrees, and once Henderson leaves, Jefferson tells Lynn that he's going to get their girls, and realizing what he plans to do, Lynn tells them to bring them home. So obviously she knows very well that he is going to be back as Black Lightning, and he doesn't really have a choice at this point. I mean, obviously his girls are in danger, and if he can use his powers and he has to become Black Lightning, so be it. And you can see he will go through any measures to do that, and I really love seeing that here. So Jefferson then goes to Gambit's. He tells the 100 that they have his daughters. Gambit closes up, goes downstairs with Jefferson. He shows him a better costume that he's been working on. That night, the Seahorse, he steps out on the top of the Seahorse wearing his new costume. He jumps down, attacks the gangers, letting the suit's armor absorb any bullets. Lala's in a room beating Will for bringing the girls there. He's furious that Will did it without permission, and he tells him to kill the girls and lose the bodies, or Will will do the same. So Black Lightning walks down the back balcony, taking down anyone who comes after him. Will then leads Anissa and Jennifer out, a gun to their head, shoots Black Lightning in the chest. The armor then stops the bullet. Black Lightning blasts Will over the balcony and into the air as Jennifer and Anissa then run off. Black Lightning demands to know where Lala is, and a sobbing Will says that he doesn't know. So the vigilante sees Will's car, says it was nice, slams him into it. Later the police arrive, they arrest everyone there, and Jennifer and Anissa then tell them that Black Lightning was there. Black Lightning secretly is watching from the rooftop, and we then see Lala. He's driving down the street when an SUV cuts him off. Cyanide steps out and takes a blindfolded Lala to Tobias. Tobias then shoots him in the shoulder with a spear gun, reels him over. He says that he killed Black Lightning and asks if Lala can take care of the problem. So again, you can see, Tobias, he very well knows what he's doing. He's willing to put any of his members in harm's way as well, and he will do whatever he can to go after Black Lightning. So Lynn greets her daughters when Henderson brings them home. Jefferson arrives, hugs his family. Later, he goes and takes a shower, lets the blood from his wound drip down, and this was a very well done scene. People have talked for years about the fact that, there hasn't really been any blood in these DC shows. They've really kind of cheapened out, and I really liked this sort of, audio visual here of just seeing the true pain that he's going through, showing, the true the visceral pain that Jefferson will go through again to protect his family. So he looks in on his sleeping daughters, goes to the kitchen where Lynn is pouring herself a drink. She thanks him for what he did. He says that it's not over yet, and then we get to the ending where Anissa wakes up. She goes to the bathroom. She remembers what Will and Lala did to her. Her hands glow red. She loses control, yanks the sink off the wall, and it seems like Anissa might be exhibiting some of the same powers that Jefferson does have, and that is the way this episode ends. So, like I said, a lot of great stuff to talk about here, but first, I definitely want to get into the cast. Because, sure, similar to the other CW shows, there's a lot of unknown actors here. There's definitely some that I am familiar with, but I have to say, out of everyone, Cress Williams easily steals this entire show. I think he was perfectly casted as the character, of course, of Jefferson. What I really love about Jefferson as a character is he is a man that is of his morals. I mean, he has his morals where he is a family-first kind of guy. He obviously, Black Lightning kind of put a dent in that, and he's trying to, kind of reconcile with a lot of his past demons, but at the same time, he has to keep going back to being Black Lightning because of the fact that his family's in danger. And again, I love that everything he does is for his family. Sure, he's made the school this great place, but again, that's for his daughters. It's all because of his family, and I really did love that about his character. I think Cress Williams really carried that very well here. I think he's very charismatic, but he also poured a lot of emotion, his heart and soul into the role. I really love what he did in the show, and I'm very interested in seeing where he does go. I think, like I said, he was definitely very well casted here. Because, sure, similar to the other CW shows, there's a lot of unknown actors here. There's definitely some that I am familiar with, but I have to say, out of everyone, Cress Williams easily steals this entire show. I think he was perfectly casted as the character, of course, of Jefferson. What I really love about Jefferson as a character is he is a man that is of his morals. I mean, he has his morals where he is a family-first kind of guy. He obviously, Black Lightning kind of put a dent in that, and he's trying to, kind of reconcile with a lot of his past demons, but at the same time, he has to keep going back to being Black Lightning because of the fact that his family's in danger. And again, I love that everything he does is for his family. Sure, he's made the school this great place, but again, that's for his daughters. It's all because of his family, and I really did love that about his character. I think Cress Williams really carried that very well here. I think he's very charismatic, but he also poured a lot of emotion, his heart and soul into the role. I really love what he did in the show, and I'm very interested in seeing where he does go. I think, like I said, he was definitely very well casted here. However, who easily surprised me the most is China and McClain as Jennifer Pierce, who, to be honest with you, this is the role I've been waiting for. This is exactly what I've wanted from China and McClain, because I've always seen her as someone who has potential, but again, has to deal with a script or has to deal with something really dumb, and she just never really gets to show it. And here, no, I'm not a huge fan of the character of Jennifer. We'll get into that in a little bit, but I really do love China McClain in this role. I think she overall does a really great job. I think she definitely does have a lot of potential in this show. I thought she definitely was very strong. I'm really looking forward to seeing where she does go throughout the show. And the same with Nafessa Williams. I like that Nafessa Williams as well. She's a very protective sister, and at the same time, she has a lot of similar ideals that Jefferson does have. They did a very good job of setting that up, and it makes sense because now she is going to be as well, she has these powers, and she's going to be a vigilante, and I'm really looking forward to seeing those two team up together. I think she definitely, has loads of potential as a character, and I think she really did a fantastic job here. And then the rest cast here I thought was definitely really great. Christine Adams as Lynn, I really did enjoy. I like how, you know, she still plays this active role in Jefferson's life. You know, she clearly does, I think, want, you know, their marriage to get back on track, but of course, you know, she's not 100% trusting of Jefferson. You know, she's very worried that he's going to go back to that crime life, and I'm interested in seeing really where they do go with their character. Marvin Krondon Jones is absolutely fantastic as the character of Tobias Whale. I mean, we're so used to seeing these one-dimensional, very, like I said, hokey villains on the show, and to see someone this menacing with this much intimidation is really great, and I'm definitely interested in seeing where he does go. I think he definitely is a very compelling character, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing where they do take him. You know, what's really going on between him and Jefferson? Why does he have such this ill will for him? I'm really looking forward to seeing where that does go. I think, like I said, he did a really great job. Damon Gupton is really everyone I think does a fantastic job here. There isn't really anyone that I thought was bad here. I thought, honestly, everyone did a really great job, and definitely looking forward to seeing where everyone does go throughout the course of the show. But now let's get to the directing and the writing, because that is really what I want to talk about here. Right off the bat, the thing I love about the show is that it has a very distinctly different tone than pretty much every other show that we've seen on, you know, in terms of the CW superhero shows, and I really like that. It's got this more raw, grounded in reality tone, and I really do love that. I love the realism. I love the, like I said, you know, the more edginess to this show, but I do like that it's not, like, just dark for the sake of being dark. It definitely does have that humor in there. It definitely does have that heart in there, but again, it doesn't have the campiness that we expect CW shows to have, and that's something that, again, very much does surprise me. This really doesn't feel like a CW shows. It feels something more in the vein of, like, Marvel's Netflix, honestly. It really does. Honestly, Runaways felt more like something the CW would do. It really did. I know that's Marvel, but that feels more like something the CW would do than something like, say, you know, something like Black Lightning. It really is different for the CW, and I like that. I like that they're trying to maybe expand their culture a little bit more and kind of get away from that sort of tone that people have kind of ridiculed them for throughout years. I think it's a good tone. I think it works. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, but when it works really well. And I like seeing the Black Lightning, though, is changing it up, because, yeah, after a while it does start to get tiring with the same sort of storylines, and I'm glad to see Black Lightning's much different than that. The other thing I love is the writing of the show. I really love our main story here. I love that Jefferson has already become Black Lightning. We're not going to get an origin story in this season. He's already Black Lightning. He knows how it feels. He knows all the full effects of Black Lightning. He's, you know, he knows his powers. He's very well, you know, he's very well, you know, enhanced his powers, and he knows what he's doing. He's very knowledgeable when it comes to Black Lightning, and that's something that, like I said, I really do love about the show. The main narrative, though, I also really love. I love that he's just trying to be, you know, this principal, and he's trying to look out for his daughters, and he's trying to do what he can to get as far away from that as possible and get his family back on track. I really love that main narrative, because, again, it's very different from other things we've seen. We haven't really seen that in a CW show before. We haven't really seen a narrative where it's not some 20-year-old billionaire or some 20-year-old kid who, you know, meets this girl and has these nerdy friends. It's a very different story, and that's something I love. We haven't seen that before. It's not a millennial, and again, I have nothing wrong with millennials. Hell, I'm one myself. You know, I don't have a problem with them doing that, but I'm just saying, I like that they're doing something a little bit different, and I think it is a really risky, you know, ballsy idea. I really do love that they're doing that here. Also, I really do like that what the show is saying, you know, about certain things going on with the police. It is definitely drawing a lot of real-life parallels, but it's not trying to beat you over the head with them. Sure, it's showing scenes of these cops being a little bit corrupted and maybe going a bit too far, but not every scene is a cop beating down on Jefferson. We just see that that is very present, you know, within Freeland. That's something that these characters are very much used to and they are very much annoyed by. And I do like the way the show is addressing these things. I think it was definitely very subtle, and it was a lot more, like I said, it was just a lot more subtle than I think it really could have been. That's something else that very much did impress me here. I really do like, the characters in the show. Tobias Whale as well. I like that Tobias Whale is not this, big, sort of metahuman or anything like that. That's not really who he is. This is a guy who has a personal vendetta against, against Jefferson. We don't know why yet, but obviously he has some hatred for him, and I'm looking forward to seeing really where that does go. Really, my only thing with this episode, like I said, is because this was so grounded in reality, when we cut to scenes with Jennifer, with her at this party, it just didn't really fit with the tone of the show. And I'm not saying that I don't like it. I do think it's a good story of her being a bit rebellious and her trying to think, oh, we've had no problems with the 100, so nothing bad's gonna happen to us. But of course, then she goes to the club, and that's when things start to obviously go awry. Again, it's not a bad story. It's just the dialogue and the story involving that character. It just didn't fit with the rest of the show. It felt a lot campier. It felt like something out of a typical CW show, and it just didn't really work in that way. Again, China McClain doing a really great job in this role. I really like what we got with her. I like the interplay between her and Anissa, but I just feel some of the stuff with her very much could be cut back. I'm really hoping that her storyline blends in with the rest of the show, because just right now it's not. Also, as much as I did enjoy the flashbacks, I didn't really need them. I really didn't. It felt like the show was spelling things out when we really didn't need it. I mean, did we really need a flashback scene where we see that Lynn was the one encouraging Jefferson to retire? It was pretty obvious that she wanted him to do that. Did we really need a scene where, he was in danger and Anissa was, worried? I mean, we didn't need those flashback scenes. I understand that there were only like 2 of them, but I found them just very unnecessary and plotting and just not, again, they just did not need to be here. I did not feel they were necessary at all. You could have cut them out, and I think the episode would have gone exactly the same way. The suit. I will say the suit's a little cheesy. I definitely will say that. I think the effects are not up to par. You can definitely tell that this is on a CW show, but they are, for the most part, practical, and I do think they do work pretty well. When Black Lightning is showing off his powers, it's really badass. That one scene where he was getting tased by that cop, I really did enjoy that scene. That ending scene I really did like. So the effects on the show, obviously, not cinematography, I always say that, but the effects on the show are definitely very well realized, and I really did enjoy that. The score, again, I like that urban feel that the show really does have, and the editing, I think the editing in this episode was very well paced. I definitely really did enjoy it overall. All that stuff is really great. Like I said, this show has loads of potential, and I'm just really hoping they deliver, because, again, this is something very different for the CW. It's very unpredictable. There's a lot of directions they can take the show, and there are just many things I'd love to praise about, because I think this was, like I said, a very well done first episode. There was a lot of stuff I really did enjoy. I like getting more into Club 100. I like getting more into Jefferson as a character. He's different. We haven't really seen that before. I like that his daughters aren't the main focus here. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with Anissa's powers. I think that's going to be very interesting. Why Tobias Whale has this ill hatred for him. I mean, there's just so many places they can take the show, and best of all, I love that it is not connected to the other DC shows, because it wouldn't really make sense. This specific story just would not fit in a DC crossover, so I don't know if he's eventually going to come into that world and they're eventually going to cross over. I think right now they're doing it to see if this sticks, and then if it does, maybe they'll cross him over, but I hope they keep it separate. I really do, because this could be like the Luke Cage for DC. And for Marvel, at first it worked really well. Then Luke Cage kind of got off the rails. I'm hoping that doesn't happen with Black Lightning. I'm hoping that the show is exactly what we want to be. It's as good as this first episode is, and if it is, I think this, like I said, has the potential to be the best CW show in a while. I'm very much looking forward to seeing how this does go. And I'm definitely going to give the series premiere Black Lightning Season 1, Episode 1, The Resurrection, a B+. So overall, guys, remember the series premiere of Black Lightning. Let me know what you guys thought of this series premiere overall. Left your thoughts. And like I said, I'm really interested in seeing where the show does go. But that's my review. Hope you guys enjoyed. See you guys in my next video, and we'll see you guys for that. Okay, bye.
I get so lonely when she's not